Hey everyone, welcome back to another powerful episode of Healthy Waves, the podcast where we keep it real, keep it practical, and keep it moving. Because health is not just what you eat or how much you work out, it's what you believe, what you repeat in your head, and what your nervous system thinks is safe. So, today we are talking about something that sounds obvious until you actually live it. The mind shapes your actions, it shapes your body, it shapes your behavior, and half the time we don't even notice it that is happening. So, we call it personality or just how I am. But it's often the trauma, it's patterns, it's programming. And that's why I'm hyped for today's guest. So please welcome Jamie Green. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here, and I look forward to sharing these amazing tools with your community.
Amazing. So, dear listeners, before we delve deep into the discussion, I'll quickly love to introduce you to Jamie. So, Jamie is a trauma release specialist, NLP life coach, and Reiki master. So, she helps people break free from the emotional blocks, rewire the limiting beliefs, and step into a version of themselves that feels calm, confident, and actually in control. So her work blends neuroscience with healing practices. The translations that we are going to connect the dots between your thoughts, your body, and your results in real life. So, if you have ever said that I know what to do, I just can't do it, this episode is basically for you. Let's dive in. So, welcome to the show again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing. So, Jamie, when you say the mind influences action, the body, behavior, what's the simplest way to explain that to someone who's stuck in the survival mode and uh, thinks that they are just lazy or broken?
Yes, that is a great question, and I will do my best. I hope that is very clear to understand. I would like to frame it as a best
Mhm.
friend, right? There's so many songs out there today that talks about loyalty, and it's always referencing a friend from childhood or a family member. But a lot of people, they don't realize that the very first best friend that they ever had is themselves.
Mm,
So the inner chatter and the way that we talk to ourselves within our mind,
mm,
that is our number one friend that's always going to be there to try to push us towards our highest power and purpose. But after so many life experiences where things may not go as we would have hoped them to go, we start to internalize these negative thoughts and beliefs. And without even realizing, we find ourselves saying, "Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm not worthy." And so our subconscious mind begins
mm,
to ensure that what we feel and believe about ourselves within our deepest, darkest heart and mind will reflect and be confirmed in what we see with our eyes.
mm. So, what are the biggest signs that it's not about the laziness? It's the nervous system that is running the show. What do you say?
Yeah. So let's say someone who wants to lose weight, but they're struggling with maintaining a healthy diet.
Mm,
So let's say there are challenging and stressful times, they find that they begin to overeat. That's what we call emotional eating. And it's because our nervous system is asking for a source of comfort and safety. And after so many times of training our mind and our body that food brings the comfort and safety, we begin to default to that habit.
mm,
And so, in order to release that habit, we have to work with the nervous system to change the way that we see food being a source of comfort and safety, to changing a more healthier behavior, such as drinking water, doing something that nourishes the mind and the body.
Mhm. So, I mean, exactly like we are not a kind of pathologizing the people, but we are reframing it that your system isn't um, failing you. It's protecting you, even if the method is kind of messy, right? So,
Yes, exactly.
mm. So like a lot of people also treat thoughts like the background noise, but um, thoughts can be obviously commands as well. So how do repetitive or repeated thoughts actually change the behavior over time? What do you say?
Yes, for someone who has the inner critic that always starts to get louder and louder when they go for a certain goal and they're not able to accomplish it. When the inner critic starts to get louder and louder, that's when the person begins to start doubting. And our feelings and our thoughts determine what our actions are going to be, right?
Yeah. Mm.
So it's a cycle. What we think and feel internally influences what we decide to take action or not take action on.
Mm. And like if someone has one loud recurring thought like I'm not enough. So what's the first step? Uh, Interrupt that doesn't feel fake or forced.
Would have them to consider journaling.
Uh,
It's a beautiful and powerful way to reveal not only what our inner thoughts are, but what our beliefs are, what we truly value, and why. And so when we understand the source of why we have those thoughts and beliefs, then we can start to reframe them. So, for example, I'm not enough. If they were to do the traditional journal or audio journal, it doesn't have to be traditional, just simply stating with, I'm not enough, and asking the question why. And then your subconscious will come to the forefront and begin to provide those answers and insights. And then once you have one or five reasons why you think that you're not enough, then you can begin to do the deeper work and ask yourself, well, what have I done in my past or my present that completely dissembles this belief?
mhm,
Because you are enough. That is your birthright. You are worthy, you're valued,
mm,
and you're full of love and peace. But oftentimes we forget these things because of life's experiences. And so when we begin to bring forth these pieces of evidence to highlight that, you know what, I have done this and I have accomplished this as well. I am enough. And so that belief gets a little bit less heavier.
yep, yep. I totally agree. And like I love that because affirmations without safety are just the kind of cute sentences or sounding good sentences, but the real flex is making the new thought believable to the body. So that is also much important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And um like you are a trauma release specialist, so what's your take on how the body holds on to past experiences and um how that shows up in a daily behavior?
Yeah, wonderful. So, I love to use this example as anchoring. It's how we associate different senses. So, what we hear, what we see, what we smell, and how it can take us back to a time of a particular event. So, for example, during the holidays, our family tradition is to cook sugar cookies. And let's say I'm over at a friend's house and they're cooking sugar cookies.
Mm,
And have you ever noticed how sometimes you could smell things and you start to think about a past moment or event, where you can hear something like a song and you start to feel the emotions spraying up because it reminds you of something.
True.
Mm. That's called anchoring. It's learning to associate different stimulus to a specific emotion.
Exactly.
And so I utilize that with my clients to help them transform different negative emotional states, such as stress or anxiety, to taking that initial trigger
Mhm.
and transforming it to something that they can feel grounded and a sense of calm with.
Understood. Understood. So, if you have to share with the listeners that one physical pattern that you see all the time, like gut issues, tight chest, uh, clenching jaw, insomnia, then what does it usually mean emotionally?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. And a lot of times, based off of the person and their past experiences and the type of emotion, a lot of those symptoms can show up. It can be a cluster or it could be one or two things. It all depends on the intensity or the severity of whatever the stress is. I remember a time where I was training for a physical agility test in the Air Force. It was an extremely challenging and stressful time for me because my career was riding on passing this exam. And unfortunately, I was not very strong suited in the cardio aspect. I could do strength all day, but when it came to cardio, I really struggled with that. And even though that I was working out daily and pushing myself beyond my limits at the time, I found that the stress that I was carrying manifested in me grinding my teeth at night, almost as if I was chewing on my problems trying to find a solution.
Exactly. Mhm.
Yeah, so it definitely varies based off of how the person handles stress and their stress threshold, as well as the situation.
True. And that's wild. I mean, in a wow, I have been ignoring my body's email for the years and kind of thing. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So, and also like, let's get into the NLP part as well. So, people here reprogram your mind and they're like, okay, sure. So, how does NLP actually work in practice to shift the beliefs and behavior?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Mm.
It's not as difficult as many people may think because, we've been told so many times that it takes years to heal from past trauma. But with neurolinguistic programming, timeline therapy, that's not the case at all. It's as easy and as simple as a guided meditation. So I would guide them through a visualization where they would visualize how they see themselves in the current belief that they don't want to have. For example, I'm not worthy or I'm not enough. And from there, we would rearrange the different elements of what makes that image or that movie so powerful for them. And we would change, let's say if the image was loud and vibrant with noise, we would change it so that it's darker in color and that there's no noise. We would change the emotion of feeling shame or guilt and change it to feeling peace and grounded. And the reason why this works is because we're communicating with the subconscious mind in a language that it understands.
Mm.
So when we go to traditional talk therapy, we're trying to communicate what happened to us in the past using our conscious mind, which only governs 5% of our mind. But when we tap into the 95% with the subconscious, which knows all of who we are and what we experience and why we feel the way that we do and governs our habits and action, then
Mm.
we're truly able to get to the root cause and transform the way that we hold on to toxic beliefs and change them to empowering beliefs.
Got it. And like if you can share a quick example of a limiting belief that you have helped someone change, like uh, what changed in their behavior after. So anything.
Yeah, so definitely what I see often is I'm not enough, I'm not good enough. And of course, when we have those beliefs, often we stop ourselves from going after the hopes, the goals, and the dreams that we desire. We stop ourselves from engaging in a relationship that we really desire, but feel as though we're not good enough, so why even try? And so when I help people release these beliefs, then they have a sense of confidence and a sense of inner power where they once thought that, "Oh, I won't get that promotion, why even bother?" They now know that they do have the skills, the capability, and the knowledge to go for it, and they start to make bold action.
Exactly. Exactly true. Amazing. And like you blend neuroscience with the Reiki and healing practices. So some people are all in kind of, and some people are skeptical also. So how do you explain this combo in a way that feels grounded and accessible as well?
Yes, so I definitely am a skeptic at heart. When I initially stumbled across Reiki or hypnotherapy, I wasn't 100% sure that it would work. But at the time, I wanted to find some solution to my problem, which was the bruxism, the grinding teeth at night. And then with Reiki, I had just found out that I had a diagnosis and I was feeling depressed and suicidal at the time. So I was seeking some relief from the stress that I was experiencing. And when I attended my first Reiki session, even while she was performing, I was still convinced that this isn't going to work. Why would it work? How does it work? These are general questions that a lot of people have.
Mm.
But what I found out after the session and after learning and doing deep research is that Reiki is a powerful evidence of the power of our mind. Simply by guiding our intention and thoughts toward a certain outcome can create a shift internally and externally.
Mm.
And this is why Reiki is also offered as a complementary alternative medicine in the top hospitals in the world because they recognize that the power of the mind and healing energy actually shifts the inner and outer well being of everyone involved.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. Very, very true. Yeah. So, and if someone's very curious but cautious, what's the safest and simplest practice they can try this week to feel a shift? What is it?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend anchoring what we discussed earlier is shifting the emotional state. And it's very simple. You can get into a comfortable position, make sure that your space is quiet and free of distraction, and simply think back to a time where you felt a positive emotion. So, like, say, think back to a time where you were at peace or happy, and really allow yourself to drop down into the experience. See through your eyes, hear what you hear, and see what you saw, and allow the emotions to intensify.
Mm.
Allow it to feel as if you are truly there in that moment again. And when it's as bright and as vivid and as real as possible for you, simply press your thumb and forefinger for 2 seconds and then release it.
Mhm.
And you can use this process to add on states. So you can add peace, and gratitude and confidence. You drop into that state. You emerge your senses. You see what you see, hear what you hear, and allow the feelings to intensify as if you're there. Then simply press your thumb and forefinger. And what this does is locks in a physical anchor so that when you're going on about your day
Yeah.
and there's a time or moment where you really need that shift in emotional state, you press your thumb and forefinger, and you'll be surprised and amazed that you'll feel a flood of those positive emotions begin to wash over you. That is what NLP
Yeah.
anchoring is all about.
Exactly. Exactly true. Yep. Amazing, I'd say. And dear listeners, I really, really loved having this conversation with Jamie, and we got to learn a lot of things as well, right? Uh, so all right, listeners, like here's I would love to share with you a mini challenge for the next 7 days. Like super simple, high impact. The name it, shift it kind of thing. So just take in, it's just 2 minutes once a day. Pause and ask yourself that what am I feeling in my body right now? What thought is attached to it? And what would I choose if I felt safe? You don't need to fix everything, just notice, because awareness is the first upgrade. And every time you choose safety, you are teaching your brain and the body a new baseline. So if this episode hits for you, then please share it with someone who's doing the work quietly, and please do leave a review. It helps all of us to reach more people and who need a practical path to the healing and not a kind of motivational lecture. So, Jamie, I mean, if someone wants to connect with you, what would be the great medium to connect?
Yes, a great way to reach out to me is via my website, Sunshine Soul Vibes, or Instagram, Sunshine Soul Vibes. And if this episode stirs something in you and you want to go deeper, I am hosting a transformational healing retreat where we will release those negative emotions such as anger, sadness, shame, those toxic beliefs such as I'm not enough and I don't deserve, in a retreat in October of 2026. And you can find all of that information on my website. Thank you.
Lovely. So, dear listeners, what I'll do is I'll put all the links into the show notes for your easy reference. And with this hope, Jamie, thank you so much for bringing both the tools and the truth today. And uh, to all of you who are listening, you are not behind. You are not broken. Your mind has been doing its best to protect you. And now it's time to teach it a better way to live. So, this is Healthy Waves with your host, Avik. Catch you soon in the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.